think they'll subtitle it The Happiest Streaming on Earth. So, you were probably expecting a Game of Thrones review for the Season 8 premiere that recently happened. Thing is, though, I've realized as Sunday wore on, I was not going to be coherent enough by that late. I'm beaten up. I need to get a decent night's sleep, and I was planning to do this anyway, and I record this earlier. We'll do Game of Thrones tomorrow. So, for right now, I'm going to talk instead about Disney Plus, the Disney streaming service that I've mentioned in passing with other stuff before, but I kind of want to dig into a little bit deeper because they've announced a whole mess of stuff in it, and they are pushing hard. I haven't done a video on this, but it came up in like a streaming, and I've talked about it like on the Discord. It's a Patreon exclusive perk, so you know if you want to get in on it, that's how you do it. Hey, awkward plug. So. Like I mentioned with Apple's whole streaming thing, how half-assed that feels. It feels very much like Apple going, well, we're not doing that yet, so I guess we'll do that too. Whereas Disney really feels like a full court press. They are putting not only a lot of effort, a lot of names, a lot of talent, no doubt a lot of money, but also a surprising amount of prestige behind this. Because obviously Disney, and this I have mentioned before, Disney is one of the few conglomerates because of the fact, I mean, well, honestly, even before they bought everybody, even before that, they were one of the few, you know, entities with a extensive enough catalog of really well-regarded films and TV series to be able to justify having their own exclusive thing. Like, when CBS launched its streaming, you know, it's one thing, you know, to launch it with Star Trek, and, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of wish I could see the new Twilight Zone, but, like, I'm not gonna get a whole new streaming service just to see that. But, you know, that was puzzling to me. CW has Seed, which I keep forgetting is a thing that exists. But, like, Disney's got a lot, and when you start taking into account all the stuff that they've bought recently, that means they've also got, you know, all the Marvel movies, all the Star Wars stuff, including the TV shows, all of Fox, including the entire run of The Simpsons, which they're putting up on launch. So, like, this is a heavy catalog, and it's on its own that could possibly justify it. And they are pricing aggressively. They're severely coming in under, you know, very deliberately coming under what Netflix charges on a monthly basis. I have no doubt that price will eventually go up. It'll probably be a number of years, but like, this is them making their stamp on the market. And business-wise, it makes a lot of sense. I do want to talk a little bit more about the potential for the creative end of it, though. We are learning little bits and pieces about the Star Wars series that's going to get launched, The Mandalorian. I want to see a trailer on that just because I'm in a place where, like, I'm skeptical of Star Wars. I'm not proud of that. Like, I'm not, but that's just where I'm at. But something like the Marvel stuff, I'm actually legitimately kind of curious on what they're going to do, especially when you compare what Marvel TV has been up to this point. Because up to this point, Marvel TV was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, The Inhumans, and then the Netflix stuff. And, you know, there have been a handful of other things on sporadic other services. I can't remember if Cloak and Dagger has actually come out or if we're still waiting on that. I can't remember now. There's The Runaways that's on Hulu. But these things, they've just kind of been there. So, like, I remember initially when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. launched, there was like this big clamor within the fandom of like, oh wow, there's going to be a TV show that ties into the movies and all this stuff. And like, technically it did, but, you know, not much, like just in tiny nods. Now, part of that was for a stupid behind the scenes reason. The guy who runs the TV division does not get along with Kevin Feige, who runs the movies. But I don't know if, like, they've managed to put their differences aside or if they found an intermediary or something, but there's some big moves being done. So, we already know that they are making an animated What If series, which is a fantastic concept. And they have announced Scarlet Witch and Vision combined show. And there's going to be a Hawkeye show about him passing the mantle of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop, who in the comics sort of took over the mantle from him. There's going to be a Loki series. No, he's not coming back to life. He is, in fact, dead. It's a prequel for him, you know, when he was being the mischievous god and just creating havoc. And all of these are going to be starring the stars from the movies. And I'm pretty sure there's one or two that I've forgotten. But, like, that's a big deal. Because the thing is, these movie actors in good places with their careers don't do more than, like, the occasional TV guest spot, by and large. They don't like getting roped into those kinds of contracts is usually the big thing. Now, most of these are probably going to be limited series. You know, one season, maybe two, shorter, like 6 to 10 episodes kind of thing. But this is a much more tight integration with the rest of the MCU. Now, will storylines actually cross over with the MCU? Probably not. Probably not very much at any rate. I wouldn't expect them to, just because the logistics of trying to keep that all straight becomes a really big mess. And then you also have to be really careful about what you put in the movies, because you don't want it to be a situation where people won't understand the movies if they haven't also been watching the TV shows, because the simple reality is more people go to these movies than see these TV shows. So you can't really do that. So the level of integration was always a little bit of smoke and mirrors in the first place, because logistically they were never going to be as tightly integrated as fans kind of wanted them to be, just because it's not realistic. But to actually have the stars from the movies in these shows on this streaming service, that's aggressive. And to the best of my knowledge, obviously contracts are usually not made public, but to the best of my knowledge, TV appearances were not part of the original contracts for these actors. For the films. You know, they had multi-picture deals, and some of them were on the hook for, like, you know, 10 films. Not necessarily where they're the lead, but, like, to appear in some capacity. But, like, TV was not, or at least no one ever indicated that that was part of their contracts, and yet here they are. So I'm pretty sure these folks were really well paid to be doing this. It is a big, big move. And I think especially compared with something like, say, the Netflix stuff, which did try and interconnect the shows that it had, but, like, never really tied them into the MCU, like, at all. They would occasionally offhandedly reference, oh, yeah, that guy with the magic hammer, like, once. And, like, Chitauri Tech showed up, like, once. But they tried to very much do their own thing, but the idea of having these feel like spin-offs from the movies, that's kind of the level of integration I think a lot of us were hoping for and weren't getting out of the other shows. Now, does this mean that they're going to be great and awesome and better than any of the other stuff that was done on ABC or on Netflix? Well, no. It's execution dependent. It always is. But the possibilities are kind of impressive to me. And especially because, one of the things with the Netflix is, they were dealing with lower tier characters, with actors that were pretty much unknown. So they were doing a lot of cost-cutting measures. And even though the characters that have been announced to be getting their own TV shows on Disney Plus have been what could be considered the more supporting characters. They're not ones who are leading their own films. They're still recognizable. And these are still movie actors. And especially with someone like Loki, is like legit iconic in the movies. That's, like I said, that's aggressive. And I think if they use that standing as a launching pad to do something interesting, as opposed to an excuse to just play it safe because they don't have to be daring because people are going to watch anyways. That would be a disappointment. Now, I say that as if I'm going to see these. I don't know if I am yet. Just because, on principle, I don't like the idea of signing up for yet another streaming service. I'm already not on a whole bunch of them that, friends of mine are on. I don't have the CBS one. I don't have CWC. I don't have Hulu. I've got Netflix, and the only reason that I have Amazon Prime is because I have Amazon Prime for the shipping, and the streaming service happens to come with it. So that's just purely coincidental. So I'm not huge on the idea of roping myself into another service, but at the same time, for the cost that it has and the lineup that it has, and knowing that it's probably worth the price just for the percentage of content that my daughter's going to want to watch alone, it's probably worth it. Then again, that just sort of should, and I always keep in mind, when I praise Disney, it is never absolving them of their monopolistic tendencies and their copyright, BS or any of the other many things you can take issue with Disney as a company. So when I praise them, don't think that means I'm endorsing that, because I'm not. But they could have very easily just held their catalog of existing stuff to ransom and made it, and probably gotten enough subscribers to warrant, having the streaming service. Honestly, that's how the Disney Channel launched back in the day. Because, I'm old enough to remember, and my grandparents had it, Disney was a premium cable channel. Originally, it had no ads, and there was very little that was created specifically for it. It was just a handful of stuff. By and large, it was just the Disney catalog. And they very easily could have done the same thing here. Especially, again, understanding what comes under the umbrella of the Disney catalog and how much they've not only produced since they launched the Disney Channel, but also, the amount of stuff they acquired. They could have gotten away with just holding that to ransom. Just saying, you want this stuff? But to be doing that and also, doing this big launch of all this new stuff on the big franchises that they acquired, so that they're not just sitting on them to take in the residuals. This is gonna be a big push, and they might actually pull this off. Well, I say might. The other thing is Disney Disney can afford to take a loss on this for probably a couple of years. Disney can afford to play the long game, where they can launch. I'm not that I'm saying this is their plan, but they can afford to launch this, lose money on it, and refine it over the course of a couple of years until they start actually turning a profit on it. The company's not going to sink if this thing doesn't immediately make its money back. And I just checked my notes for the other stuff that's going to be launched. So at launch, there's obviously the huge amount of their back catalog. It's not absolutely everything, because some stuff they still have licensed out to Netflix or whoever else. But as soon as they get that back, they're going to keep it. Anything that comes out from this year and on, that's just going to go there. That's not going to turn up anywhere else. So all the Star Wars movies, Rebels, the Clone Wars series, those are all going to be on at launch. Disney's 13-film signature collection, the first 30 seasons of The Simpsons, The World According to Jeff Goldblum. I don't even know what that is, but now I want it. 250 plus hours of National Geographic content, the major catalogs of films like Avatar, Mary Poppins, The Rocketeer, Tron, a ton of Disney Channel content, things like Boy Meets World, DuckTales, Kim Possible, That's So Raven. Now, within the first year of launch, they're going to have all the Pixar movies and all the shorts. Oh, there's the Marvel series that I forgot, The Falcon and Winter Soldier. So there's another one. Again, you know, the movie characters, the What If series I mentioned, Monsters at Work, a Monsters, Inc. animated series, and Billy Crystal and John Goodman have agreed to do it. So, like, they are throwing so much money around. A series based off Love, Simon, a series based off The Sandlot, Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, so new season for that. Oh my gosh. And another Star Wars series beyond The Mandalorian, there's going to be a Cassian Andor series from the character who was in Rogue One. It's really, again, as much as it can make me feel icky to praise Disney as a business, they know what they're doing. This is a really good launch lineup. And again, don't take that as me going, therefore it's the best thing ever. How big and how powerful and how much Disney owns makes me uncomfortable. And year over year, I become more uncomfortable with it. And you kind of have to find a way to balance. These things bring me enjoyment, but the source makes me uncomfortable. This is a different variant of that, because sometimes, you know, we talk about separating the artist from the art when there are unpleasant realities about creators behind things that we like. And I guess another variant of that is separating the corporation from the art. Jeez. How did I manage to end this on a sour note? I don't know. I got a penchant for that lately. In any case, the Disney Plus launch thing. Pooh. Whatever your thoughts are on it, drop something down in the comment. Let's talk about it. A whole bunch of stuff to do. Buttons, links, Patreon, P.O. Box, social media, my book, etc., etc., etc. Links down below. Give them a click. Or you also don't have to. I mean, I'd always appreciate it, but at the end of the day, you're the council. I just run the meetings. And until next time, this council is adjourned.